We are Ann Arbor's Talk Station, 1290 WLBY and the Lucy Ann Land Show. Every Saturday it's Damian Farrell, local architect, and his Damian on Design, where we are turned on to the world of design and its importance in our lives. And today we've got a real interesting topic. Stair Week is coming up.
Health Week, right? Healthy stuff.
Healthy stuff. Stairs, and here I am building a ranch house because I'm trying to do away with stairs in my life. But there is an important part of the health initiative towards this. I will never forget, Damian, when Tom Monahan built Domino Farms. And
right. The horizontal skyscraper.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Uh-huh.
And inside, near the elevators, are placards that admonish people to take the stairs.
Take the stairs.
I've never seen anyone do that before.
Except the stairs in that building are all hidden. As architects now, we're trying to pull them to the outside so we can see them and we can get to them, we can go walk up them.
You see how design plays an important part in our lives. Also at our table today to talk about Stair Week and this health initiative, we welcome in Paul Dannels. He is president of the American Institute of Architects, Michigan chapter. Great to have you here. You also have your own firm as well.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
Very good to be here. I am an architect and I consult architects in the engineering world, so lots of architects around Southeast Michigan and around the state are clients of mine, and I get to work with architects all day long.
And your firm is SDI Structures, so he knows both ends of the business, doesn't he?
He does know both things. He's being very modest. He's also worked with some of the world's greatest architects, as we now call them. Buildings like the Broad Museum up in Lansing, on the East Lansing. What's that other university up the road?
I don't know.
That one, the Green, on that campus. Among many others, some of those gorgeous buildings, additions to the library, the law library here in Ann Arbor. Paul's being very, very modest.
Paul Dannels, president of the A.I.A. Michigan chapter. Also with us, Joyce Lee. She's on the board of the A.I.A. She's out of Grand Rapids. You also own a company. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's a green health practice, and I was thrilled to hear last week's broadcast where New York City's active design guidelines was highlighted. Mm-hmm. We were all part of the co-authors of that book where active design, green health were very important, and we all have Mayor Bloomberg to thank.
And your company is called?
Indigo JLD.
Indigo JLD. You're also the founder of Stair Week.
Yes.
How did you come up with this?
I was in a National Leadership Academy program last year, and we had started this program in West Michigan. We work with Kent County, Muskegon County, and Ottawa County, together with the A.I.A., U.S. Green Building Council, and the International Interior Design Association to launch this at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. I gather there was enough interest and success that now we are going statewide, and hence the governor had given a proclamation for Stair Week this year.
Indeed he has. On behalf of the people of Michigan, whereas the health and wellness of all Michiganders is important to the communities in our state, whereas healthy lifestyles are further supported by efforts to offer physical activity opportunities in the built environment. And it goes on from there, and it salutes the American Institute of Architects, Michigan chapter, for hosting the statewide Green Health Summit, which is the first day of Stair Week. You have a quote that you wanted to read as well, Damian.
And this is a quote that Paul wrote in a press release about Stair Week. As architects, we know that no part of the world we design is too small or too ordinary to matter. Stair Week reminds us of this in a practical, inspiring, and healthy way. Paul Dannels, FAIA, President of A.I.A. Michigan. I think that really sums it up.
It does indeed. Stair Week, what are you trying to accomplish?
It is a unique opportunity that brings together the design community and the health community. As we mentioned, we already started working with the health department in West Michigan this year. Mm-hmm. We are thrilled that the greater Detroit area and even those up at the UP are interested. So the A.I.A. Michigan will be having this Green Health Summit on the first day of Stair Week in Lansing, no place other than Lansing, where a lot of our partners will be coming together, and the county health departments will be joining architects and designers and green building professionals.
The idea is to use thoughtful design in a way that encourages us to choose healthier options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Dr. Dick Jackson, who used to sit on the A.I.A. National Board, is flying in from California to give us a pep talk and also show us some of the best practices. We have an urban design panel and a building design panel that will focus solely on green and health, which is really geared towards sustainability and healthy behaviors, such as active design, better air quality, and ergonomics, and so on and so on. We encourage people to come to our summit.
Well, and we're having focuses around the state too, right, within the chapters within the state on Stair Week. We have one going on here in our Huron Valley chapter as well. I think, and it's all during the same week, if I'm correct. Is it?
What is the Ann Arbor event?
Ann Arbor event is happening September 11th, and the West Michigan event, which will have two of our chapters participating, the A.I.A. Grand Rapids chapter and the Southwest chapter from Kalamazoo, Battle Creek area. And then September 9th is the Flint chapter, where their young professional groups have been extremely active.
Yeah. Paul,
Go ahead.
what does this mean to us as a professional group? What does it mean to A.I.A., both statewide and national-wise,
Yeah.
a focus like this?
You know, we get lots of opportunities to think about architecture in the flashy and exciting ways, and it's exciting, and you see it, and you know, those are the things that we're so eager to talk about. But what architects are doing also is making hundreds of decisions every day, almost on our behalf. All sorts of things are happening whereby we are being offered choices to the designs that are put in front of us that architects have prepared for us, and we aren't even aware of the ways in which buildings are helping us through decisions over the course of the day. And so much of what architecture and design is really behind the scenes stuff. And the simple thought of encouraging someone to use a stair, very, very simple thought, but it's an opportunity to impact our entire lives and how we deal with health matters, how we engage with our buildings, and it's exciting to know that there are opportunities for us to look at architecture at that deeper level.
It's interesting, though, because we're coming out of, 2 decades of the ADA as well, and where we were looking at alternatives to stairs and making things seamless for people no matter what their abilities are. How does that play into this? Because it's important for all people to be healthy.
That's a good question. Yeah.
And in fact, if you see the governor's proclamation, it did say that for able-bodied people to use the stairs, in fact, we also encourage ramp because it promotes physical activity.
Yeah.
If able-bodied people use the stairs, it means that our elevators actually are better suited for people who really need them. Think about the turning radius inside an elevator when it's not crowded.
That's a very good point, yeah.
It's very awkward. Also, it's using power, using electricity.
It is
right?
a greener way to travel.
Yeah.
And in fact, what Paul said about architect's role, the A.I.A. National has a book called Local Leaders, Healthier Communities Through Design. It does talk about some of the things that designers are not always aware of.
Like what?
Well, according to the New England Journal of Medicine, men who climb at least 20 flights of stairs have a lower risk of stroke by at least 20%. Another one says that out of the day of the week, if you do about 3 bursts of 10-minute physical activity like climbing stairs, it provides as many health benefits as a 30-minute workout. Think about that.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
So what can you do when you're designing to make stairs more palatable to someone to take? And you kind of mentioned, first of all, access is important because if stairs are hidden, people aren't going to go to look for them, to find them, to
Right.
go on them.
But in
But
some ways, it's been a design challenge because we use stairs as means of egress out of a building in case of emergency, so in case of catastrophe. And so those stairs are driven in some ways by design or by building codes. So we have to, for some of these stairs, isolate them, insulate them, all of those sorts of things. So they are a place of refuge and they are a way for people to get out of buildings safely. But there is this ability to also take the grand stair, something that's been a part of architecture for as long as we've understood architecture, the ability to move vertically within spaces or across landscapes, across grand gestures of things that are elegant and beautiful and well thought out. And they make you feel different when you climb them, when you change from space to space. And I think what this is trying to do is to bring that more into focus, that we can have both of them. Our buildings have to be easily accessible for people who are not able-bodied. We have to meet all of the building codes and the safety issues, but there is this other component that we should really be focusing on as part of our whole sustainability package.
so, for instance, if you walk into a building and there is a grand staircase leading up, stairs, I can go up here. I don't have to go on the elevator, which actually might be hidden,
Mhm.
instead of the stairs being hidden, right? It gives you that instant choice.
Yeah, we have a grand stair here in Ann Arbor that has always been my favorite stair, and it's the stair that Con did in the graduate building
Oh, it's beautiful.
at the end of the campus. It is the most beautiful progression through that. You can climb up through that building and not really even be aware that you're on a staircase per se, because it changes location, it changes style, it changes shape. It's wide in some parts, it's more narrow in others. You go up to elegant landings and you turn, and as you're turning, you're experiencing the space of the building. Then you go to the second floor and it moves off to a different location, but you don't get lost, but you suddenly find yourself on the fourth story of that building, the ability to walk out onto terraces and look over the town.
Not realizing you've climbed up 4 stairs.
Climbed 4 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
You know.
Paul, what does this do structurally when a designer is looking at creating this kind of atmosphere that Damian just described so well? Structurally, what are we looking at?
Yeah, well, stairs get a lot of fun for engineers. We have an opportunity where something has very, very specific needs in terms of understanding the dimension of a step and how ergonomically a stair needs to work. Very tight constraints, but also something that visually can be very splendid and which has all kinds of different opportunities for geometric reorientation. And when the architect has an idea of what they have in mind as a way to be a spin on a familiar theme, but we still have to keep within the restraints of exactly how a stair needs to work ergonomically to be healthy for all of us. It's a really fun challenge, and stairs and architects and engineers are a great place for architects and engineers to come together.
Obviously, if you see something that's too steep or built in a way that you're worried about how you're going to traverse it, that could make you change your mind.
Yeah.
Are there particulars as to how wide steps should be, or what this should look like, a staircase?
Yeah, well, go ahead, Joyce. There are. They've actually, if you look at some of the very old design manuals, if you will, that are available to us as architects from the early days of the profession, sort of graphic standards, those kinds of things. And I think in some ways it's sort of a lost art. There are very particular proportions that work best for using a stair. So the relationship of the rise to the run is very important. And really what it amounts to, the shallower your rise, in some ways the deeper the run should be.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's really graded to the way you use a stair and walk. So if you think of things like ship's ladders, all right, very steep, they've got the handrails, and the tread on a ship's ladder at the extreme level tends to be very shallow. So that's the most comfortable way of changing level in a very small and very confined space. Then you go to a space like the one we just talked about, Khan's staircase, here in the graduate building. And if you looked at the proportion of that, the rise is very shallow and the step is quite wide. And so it's a very easy transition up the stairs. Your pace is a little longer than just, say, a stair in the house. And so you can take it at an even pace and not feel like you're being taxed.
And catch your breath.
And catch your breath. So there's a real art to doing this. There is a mathematical relationship in how a good stair works.
You are so right, Damian. When you talk about those buildings, I could also think of the Grand Rapids Art Museum, where
That's
the
a good one.
stairs are very shallow
Yes.
and very transparent, and you just have to watch a fashion show there to realize how people really begin to look at that as a stage set. But it's really about the sculptural quality of this three-dimensionality of turning around and going up and down.
It really is a piece of art, isn't
Oh,
it?
It is
yeah.
about design leadership, and we're so happy at the A.I. Michigan that we're embracing it. That's also where the collaboration comes from with the U.S. Green Building Council, because I've been part of creating this pilot credit in the LEED system, so that if you design the stairs using daylight, using art, and having
That's all
the
part
right-
of the lead.
It's a pilot credit, which means it's a new credit that is
Oh.
going to be on the menu soon. And even when you have egress stairs, having transparency,
Yes.
looking into the stairwell, which is fire rated, would create a lot of incentive for people to use the stairs.
How interesting. From the American Institute of Architects, we are talking this morning with Joyce Lee. She is on the board of directors. She's out of Grand Rapids. And also Paul Dannels, who's here in Ann Arbor. He is president of the Michigan A.I.A. And Damian Farrell on his Damian on Design. Damian is with Damian Farrell Design Group on the air each week on the Lucy Ann Land Show. wanted to share a quote that is in the press release on Stair Week, which is this upcoming week. And this comes from Jeffrey Gaines. He is the Director of Sustainability and Urban Planning at Albert Kahn Associates and also Chair of the U.S. Green Building Council Greater Detroit Region. And he says, stairs, we're located at the heart of a building, are a delightful way not only to understand and connect with the physical environment, but to also engage with other occupants within the facility. Occupants, and here's the key now, for anyone out there who thinks that you're being forced into a certain behavioral pattern, occupants are not coerced into healthy behaviors. Instead, it occurs naturally by using the building the way it was designed. People choose the stairs over the elevator because that is where the action and interest is. You're creating excitement, aren't you?
Yeah,
as an architect.
It's visual excitement.
Yeah.
If you imagine sitting on one floor and being able to see up a floor, down a floor, maybe even more than that, by either a courtyard type space or better still if it had a stair in it, you are creating interest.
Mm-hmm.
So you're connecting people within a building. You're not just isolated to the area you're working in. And you're seeing the activity of people using that stair.
Malls were smart. They did that too, but they had the walkways,
Yes. Or the ramps and...
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
changes in level.
It wasn't always stairs you went up. It was
Yeah.
carrying you up. So,
Mhm.
but that whole visual element is what made it so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And to reinforce what you say, the American Institute of Architects and the Michigan Architecture Foundation has a signage to be given out for Stair Week so that it would be put at the point of decision between stairs and elevators in buildings in Michigan.
Get healthy, save the earth, take the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
All underway. Very interesting. Are you seeing, as a structural engineer and working with architects, Paul Dannels, are you seeing more architects and people designing these facilities or homes or whatever, thinking about these kinds of things?
Well, it is interesting to see people give it a little more thought, but stairs have always been kind of exciting opportunities for architects. And maybe in the past the excitement has been driven by aesthetics and visual impact. But as we think about the health impact, it also brings a new element, which is fun to see. And stairs will always be great challenges for architects and fun for people.
What is the most challenging and most exciting project you've ever worked on?
Well, Damian was mentioning the Broad Art Museum. The stair there runs up between two concrete walls that are sloping walls, and it kind of heads away from the building, cantilevers out, and then returns, cantilevers back. And we had to keep in mind that with that stair being within a museum, the stair has another purpose, which is kind of a way to stop between places and take in vistas. The Grand Rapids Art Museum has similar characteristics.
Yeah.
When you're in a museum, there's an opportunity to be moving from one space to another, but also to stop at a landing and think and see and view from a different perspective. So the landing becomes a resting place and a place of kind of contemplation. And we were very, very concerned because this stair was quite ambitious in the way it cantilevered away from the building. We were concerned that people who might be actually resting and thinking and maybe holding a drink in their hand as they surveyed the museum would feel the vibration of the people moving on the way by. And we actually went through extensive testing of that stair before and after construction to try to completely anticipate what types of vibrations would be felt at the landing so that we knew it would be comfortable, but on the other hand, we had pushed the engineering as far as we possibly could. And it's quite a fun stair to see and worth the trip.
It is.
Some people might want that swing as part of the experience.
Yeah. We don't want any cardiac events on the landing.
That's true. We're trying to prevent that. That's the whole idea here. Coming up in the summit, Joyce, if you'd be so kind to tell us about some of the speakers and things that will be going on.
Our two keynote speakers from both sides of the coast, Dr. Dick Jackson, who used to sit on the A.I.A. National Board, who is a medical doctor and a public health doctor. And Margaret Newman is our other keynote, coming in from New York, who used to head the placemaking program in New York for the Department of Transportation. It's going to be quite exciting, and they will share a lot of great practices with us.
And where is this happening again?
It's happening at the Chrisman Building, North Capitol, in Lansing, and September 8th, 9:30 to 4:30.
And everyone will be taking the stairs?
No
Great.
doubt about that. And the website is aiami.com/Green Health Summit.
All right. AIA.
mi.com/Green com/Greenhouse Summit.
Greenhouse Summit, all right. Great talking with all of you today. Very interesting topic. Stair Week 2014, first annual, is that right?
Second annual.
Second annual, created by Joyce Lee and others. She's on the board of directors of the A.I.A. Paul Dannels, president of the A.I.A. of Michigan, and Damian Farrell from Damian Farrell Design Group. Last words from you, Damian, today, thinking about this issue.
I've always been fascinated by stairs in architecture, and we've touched on that. They are a wonderful thing that I think architects have exploited. If you think about it, we're designing buildings that, for the most part, we're dealing with horizontal planes and volumes that we then arrange. But a stair is there's that counterpoint. It's that one vertical element that we can play against the horizontal, and that we really can use as a device to make our buildings handsome and elegant, and draw people into them and make them more transparent. If we pull these kinds of grand stairs to the outside of the building where we can see activity, not just people sitting at desks, but we see people moving through buildings, that plays to also some of the things that we talked about with one of our earlier guests, Sky Duncan from New York City, if you remember that discussion. Plays right into exactly this, and Joyce and Sky work together in New York City. Small world, right, in our little show. So taking this idea of design and pushing it into the health realm, to me, is a huge step. And the fact that we're now integrating thought processes, not just in design, not just architects thinking about things, but talking to people about transportation, city planners, health officials. This is a major thing if you just stop for a second and think about the impact of bringing all of these minds together from all of these different disciplines to really focus on how our cities and buildings can improve our lives every day.
And again, showcasing design and its impact. On our lives.
Yeah.
Thank you, Damian. Damian Farrell from Damian Farrell Design Group on the air each week, and his special guest today from the A.I.A. Michigan, Paul Dannels and Joyce Lee. This is the Lucy Ann Lance Show, Ann Arbor's talk station, Stair Week, September 8th through the 14th, and a special proclamation from the governor that has been issued regarding this and encouraging all of us to take the stairs and be healthy. This is 1290 WLBY. Great job, everyone. Thank
Great
you
show.
so much.